Hello and welcome to the Nerd Age Podcast. This is a show we talk about things that are nerdy. My name is Jonah. I'm here with Mick.
Hey.
And Josh.
What's up?
We appreciate you hanging out with us. We got a big show, huge show.
We got a king-size show.
The biggest show. We're going to talk about some news, random stuff, talk about The Last of Us season finale, Tales of the Underworld, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. So let's get going. The other casting, this is just a rumor, but I want to see
Henry Cavill as Magneto?
No. The Voltron Henry Cavill movie has finished.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Filming. Apparently, it's going to go. It's not going to go in theaters. It's going to go straight to Amazon
Straight to
Prime.
DVD? Oh.
It's Amazon Prime. But anyway, that
animated?
was it. No, it's a live action.
Oh.
What?
So he's a robot?
No, he's one of the dudes.
I don't know.
He's one of the Voltron pilots. Yeah. You hop in.
Is it
then
like Pacific Rim?
Yep.
Yes.
Kind of, but then
Yes.
they join together and make a big. It's like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is like
Separate.
Voltron.
Separate. Yeah.
Was Voltron first?
Well, yes.
Yes.
But what about... Okay, so here's a question. Because Power Rangers used like really old footage of some obscure Japanese show
that's
that no
not
one knew
Voltron.
about. Is that older than Voltron? Like that original thing?
I don't.
Or does
think
anyone
so.
know what that is?
No.
I don't, probably not even the Japanese. If the Power Rangers got away with it,
Yeah, it's true. Why don't we see that more?
Old
stealing
footage.
old footage of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe Star Wars should do
It seemed to work pretty well.
Like,
for
yeah,
them.
I've seen that. That's from A New Hope. But here's the casting news. A rumor. Professor Xavier, my boy Bryan Cranston.
Really? You mean Zordon?
I mean Walter White. He had a shaved head then.
Ow.
What do you guys think? Yay? Nay?
Professor Xavier.
I mean, he does have a lot of range. He can play someone completely wild like Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, or someone
With mutant powers.
with mutant power, or
What a range.
or someone crazy like Walter White. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's other ways they could go. I feel like they should go a little bit younger. I don't know.
I mean,
It depends
I'm
on what they're
shocked.
looking for.
I thought you guys would be totally
All about it?
off of this.
I don't
And I
know.
need to see a scene of Professor Xavier in tidy whities getting his back shaved
Yeah.
by
Perfect.
Jean Grey.
I believe. I think they should cast Pedro Pascal. as
No.
Professor X.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, that guy's
guy-
isn't
that guy
enough.
needs some
That
work.
guy's isn't enough.
Yeah, he's starving.
No, Josh, no.
I don't know. I just don't. I feel like there's something about Hal's face. you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston's face that doesn't say Professor Xavier to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I think he's got a more of a square face. And I feel like,
So he'd be good for the Minecraft movie, but
yes,
Yeah.
Minecraft Professor Xavier, yes. Normal Professor Xavier, no. I feel like his features are more like, you know what I mean? Almost alien in a way. You know what I mean?
I think he seems like a better Magneto. Like he'd fit more as a Magneto with his face.
Yeah.
So maybe they're doing a switcheroo. Like the guy
swap.
that's going to play Magneto's has a round
Tilda
face.
Swinton is going to be Professor Xavier.
There you go.
No, the girl from Wicked, Cynthia Erivo.
Huh?
They're going to gender
Okay.
swap Magneto.
Magneta.
Oh, I thought she was,
Magenta.
No, she needs to be Professor Xavier.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Just a
I
rumor
don't
that's
believe
out
it.
there.
I don't believe it.
The other thing that I want to talk about is apparently Fantastic Four had a screening yesterday, and the whole plot leaked for it. And people are, I didn't look at the plot stuff, but people are saying like it's a really good, from what they've heard, that it's a really good.
This is a great plot.
It's
guys.
great.
The best plot.
Best plot ever. Marvel's back is what they're saying. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. That one, the whole thing seemed to leak, which is like not what Disney wants. But the reaction to it is like, this is exactly what we want from a Fantastic Four movie. So that's kind of interesting. Any thoughts on Fantastic Four?
I've heard they're doing reshoots though with
we got to change the whole thing.
with the Silver Surfer character. Like I heard they were giving her more like scenes that humanize her a little bit.
Huh. That's interesting because
She's like eating shawarma.
it's like it's 2 months away. So I'm
That's
like,
pretty close. They're cutting it close.
You can do that now.
They're like handing off the DVD.
They're doing
you
the
know?
Peter Jackson
Yeah,
thing
they're doing
with
the
the
Peter
Hobbit,
Jackson
where
thing.
he was like at the premiere.
Yeah, and he's like, we changed the eye, guys.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Interesting.
Yeah. That was a rumor, though. I don't know if that's actually true, but
Could be. We traffic in rumors here on the Nerd Age podcast. What's real, what's not real, it doesn't matter to us.
Send in a rumor if you think
we
that,
just
we'll
say
just start it.
we'll talk
whatever
about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
One of the dumbest things I saw come out today was this whole like, if Mandalorian and Grogu movie bombs, we will
Star Wars is canceled.
We will never see any more of the Mandalorian character. Like they're canceling that, and I was like, they're canceling season 4. I was like, I'm pretty sure they already said that the movie is basically season 4. So I think that's totally ridiculous because I'm like, I'm pretty sure they already said that Mandalorian is going to be in Dave Filoni's movie.
Right.
So
Well, that's going to get canceled too, obviously.
Just
could
his
be.
part.
Could be.
Yeah.
So,
It's just going to
It's
be a
gonna
blank
be-
spot where he would be in the screen.
like, yeah, you didn't go to the movies. No, that's what you get. But yeah, it just kind of interesting stuff. Again, the kind of fear mongering in Star Wars universe
Yeah.
that happens. Was there anything else you guys said was in the news that we wanted to talk about?
I mean, they delayed Doomsday and Secret Wars to,
Yeah, that's right. To December.
to December for both of them.
Which is good for Mandalorian and Grogu because now they open in May by themselves
Yeah.
with no Marvel competition, which you think would be smart not to do.
Right.
Does that mean... When does the new Spider-Man come out? Is that June of next year?
You mean Across the Spider-Verse? Because
No.
that's coming out in 2030.
Not that one.
He's talking about Spider-Man 4. Yeah.
I don't know, probably after 2027, 2028, 2029, maybe the same time
Hold on,
Batman
hold on,
2
hold on.
comes out.
July 31st, 2026.
Okay. I guess so. That was always coming out before
Yeah.
Doomsday, right?
No, after. Because it was May for both.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Okay.
gonna
it would've
be
come,
May.
Yeah, it would have come out.
I wonder if that's
Before.
gonna. I don't know what the what he's doing. Like,
Spider-Man?
is he gonna also be in Doomsday?
I have no idea.
Because I've heard people were
What's
expecting
his
him
name
to show
what's
up on
his
a
name
chair.
on the chair? Yeah.
No chair.
Oh, no.
But I wonder if this changes things or I
It
don't.
was a
I
weird
hope
one
they
that
do
was
it-
that was Downey Robert Sr.
Downey Robert
Yeah.
Sr.
And people were like, who is that?
I hope they
I
do
think
another.
that might be
I hope
Robert
they-
Downey Jr. They're just trying to throw us off the set.
I hope they do I hope they do another video and they just add in Tom Holland.
He brings
little-
in his
his
own
little
little
chair, yeah.
stool.
with a spider web.
Yeah.
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 He's like, I'm too poor to afford a big chair like that.
Well, yeah. There you have it in the news. Let's talk about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you haven't watched it, I don't know if we're going to go into a ton of spoilers. I think we're just going to talk about what we thought about it. But just to be safe, if you're going to watch it this week, maybe hold off and then come back to the rest of the show, or come back, or if not, you don't care, just listen. Mick, I think this was on both of our most anticipated list. I think we both watched part 1 together.
Wow.
What did you think of The Final Reckoning?
Ethan Hunt dies in the end. Or
Maybe.
does he? Maybe he
Is
doesn't.
it really the
He
final
lives-
Is it really the final reckoning? Did he go
I don't know.
It didn't seem like it.
Did he go rogue for the final time?
I feel like that's way too spoilers to talk
Okay.
about.
Yeah, we can't go there.
I feel like the way this ended was a lot like I think it was all of them. They all kind of have that.
He's like, let me get
that,
this
similar.
yeah. What am I thinking about? All of the Mission Impossibles.
They kind of end the same way of
Yeah. Yeah.
save the
Yeah.
world. This is our last one.
Yeah.
We all look at each other. Peace out.
Yeah.
And then
And then they walk away.
4 years later, hey man, we're back at
The rabbit's foot is back.
The rabbit's foot.
The MacGuffin.
I don't know. I think Fallout is still my favorite. Like that just sets such a high bar of, I think, good characters, good action. This one I think was a little too long. Like it was almost a 3-hour movie, which I felt like dragged in some parts, or was like maybe bloated a little bit. Like pretty much from, I don't know, like 40 minutes into it, it's like it goes and it just goes. And maybe some of that could have been cut out, but
the first 45 minutes to an hour is basically like, remember this guy?
Yeah.
Remember that? And it like the way they do it is basically, instead of like doing it in a normal way, they're kind of like show you flashbacks of the other movies while people are talking, and you have like a conversation in the other movie that you're like, oh, we're there. Okay.
Oh, really?
And then it's like, how did we get to this part? Like,
that's going to be super helpful for me. Because they all blend together.
It will help you because you'll be like, oh, okay, I remember that.
But does it tell you what movie he's from too?
No.
It says Mission Impossible 2. The dub scene.
It shows
did show
the date. Too.
It did show some Mission Impossible 2 stuff.
But so I thought that was like the worst part of the movie.
Yeah.
Was just the intro, because I was like, okay, yeah, I appreciate the setup, but at the same time, it's like, this is like on the nose. You know, like, and remember like, this thing?
Yeah, it felt like they weren't making this movie for the fans of Mission Impossible that have been here. They're like, okay, we need to catch people up like Josh over here. That needs to,
It's your fault. I feel like part of that was because the part 1 didn't do as well financially, that they were like, we've got to like, how do we get people caught up? Mm-hmm. But again, after that 45 minutes to an hour, like you said, it just goes, and I liked it. It's not my favorite one. I don't think it's as terrible as some people are saying it is, because some people are like, this is the worst one ever.
I don't think it's a bad movie.
No. And
I mean, 2 exists. So.
And the other thing, this movie had the potential to be really good. It didn't stick the emotional landing like that I thought it should have for the supposedly the final one.
reckoning.
Yeah.
I thought there were some things they could have done that would have hit harder emotionally, that it just didn't work. Not that it wasn't, but I just kept wanting a little more, like make me feel a little more. My favorite character is the surprise character from an earlier movie that shows up. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
And that whole aspect of it, Rick worked really well. And I wasn't expecting that, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was also the funniest thing when they meet and he's like, he says his name. He's like, oh, yeah.
You.
Yeah. So I thought that was like the best part for me. And the stunts. The submarine stuff was crazy.
Oh, my God.
I felt so like claustrophobic. It was nuts.
There was a lot of stuff in this movie that was like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah. My heart my heart's racing and stuff. And he does a good job at that. Like, that's where he excels, I think. I think the main villain was a little weak.
He was weak in the last movie too, though. I thought he was the worst part.
I agree with that. And they had potential to amp him up a lot, and it just felt like they hid him a lot of the movie.
He's too much of a cartoon villain, where he's like, ha, ha, ha,
especially
ha, ha, ha. Like he needed to be twirling his mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not one of those villains that you're like, man, every time he's on the screen, I'm like at the edge of my seat. It's more like this guy again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the movie was too long. Main villain wasn't that great, but it was still fun. Yeah. Like it was still a Mission Impossible movie that you can go and just see cool stunts, and I think a lot of it is done practically by Tom Cruise. Like
the scene, you've all seen it in the trailers. The scene where he's on the plane and he's hanging on there. Apparently, like he couldn't breathe when they were doing the practice because the wind was so strong that he couldn't he wasn't able to breathe. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, all right.
Well, he already held his breath for 30 minutes in the previous one, so he's good.
Well, he had to figure out a way to kind of like put his arm up so that he could catch his breath, and put his shoulder to block the wind. So there's an interview where they're talking. And he's like, the first trial run after we figure this all out, we're going to go film some stuff. It's like, okay, 10 minutes, and then we'll film some stuff for 10 minutes. You give us the signal. After 10, we'll come down, reset, go again. So 10 minutes pass. They don't hear from him. They keep filming. They're on the helicopter. 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Finally, like 22 minutes, he signals, right? And he's like, I passed out. He passed out for 10 minutes on the plane. And they're like, no one knew that he was passed out. They just thought he was trying to catch his breath.
Wow, he's acting so well.
But he was like, it's absolutely nuts.
That's crazy.
And that's kind of, again,
how did he not fall off?
that's why you go watch those movies, because you're like, that filming is insane.
Yeah.
And to see him actually doing that is nuts.
Yeah.
Again, the submarine stuff is claustrophobic. I hate it, but it's just so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Again, over the top with some stuff like, how did he do that? But it's like, that's a movie.
It's got to be over the top. Yeah.
And I smile every time he runs. And like, there's like the montage of him running.
I don't think there was enough running.
There should have been
I wanted more like long take of him running. I was missing that this movie.
Although my favorite one is towards the end when like the car takes off, right? He crashes and he's in like in the bottom, and then he just takes off running, and the camera goes from that to then it's like bright outside and it's like completely different area. He's like, I'm like, this dude,
he's running
for like 3 hours and caught up to the dudes
like
in a car.
Yep.
It was so good.
The Flash.
I'd give it a 7 out of 10 is what I'd give it.
I'm probably around there too.
It's enjoyable.
I'd say
I liked
7 out of 10.
It has an A- cinema score, and it has like an 89 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's a hit,
That
guys.
seems pretty good.
What's it doing money wise?
I haven't checked.
Bombing. It's terrible.
It did for the weekend. It did 77 million, which is the highest grossing Mission Impossible opening weekend. So I don't know if it's going to get back the money it costs to do it, but
Does anyone know the budget?
I don't know. Probably pretty expensive. Although the director did talk about how he was going to do Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah,
and the
I
idea
saw
he
that.
had, and I was like, I wish we were getting that instead of James Gunn's Superman. But he's like, he's like, have you ever seen Up? And they're like, yeah. He's like, well, the opening 5 minutes would be like Up, and it was going to show you exactly who Superman is and why he like inform you the rest of the movie. I was like, okay, so he's going to kill Lois in the first. I'll take it. But anyways, Last of Us. We're going to move on to the Last of Us season finale. If you haven't watched Last of Us, if you're not interested in watching, if you haven't watched it, we're going to spoil it. If you're not interested, stick around. I'm caught up.
Okay.
I'm ready. So you guys go ahead and I'll jump in here or there when I feel like I have something to say.
Well, why don't you tell us? Because you've missed the last couple of episodes. So how are you feeling going into the finale?
Maybe one of the best episodes was the one right before the finale, which was the flashback episode. I don't understand. I get it. It probably happens in the game at this point, but I don't think they should have killed Joel off the way they did. Not the way they did, but how early they did. I think they should have waited later in the season and had the flashbacks episodes be
like chronological
or interspersed.
Yeah.
Because the moment he gets killed, because I've just watched the first season, in the game it's different. You've played, how many hours? 40 hours, 50 hours of that character. You've built a relationship with him. So then when that happens in the second game, you have an emotional response to it. This one, I didn't, right? I was like, oh, that sucks. That's brutal. But there wasn't really any emotional there. They should have, for me, I think, built that relationship in, so then that moment sucks, right? Because we get one episode where you're like, why is she mad at him? And she's just acting really like mean to him. And you're like, she probably found out, but you're trying to piece together stuff, and then they kill him. So that reaction that she has where she's so upset doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, you've been angry at him this whole time. Does that make sense? So then emotionally, I'm not connected as much. And then I feel like the rest of those episodes, she can't really carry the show.
No, she can't.
And so then I'm getting frustrated with the fact that I don't think she's a very good character. I think all the other characters are better. Like Dina, I think she's a better protagonist than Ellie. And so for me, it's like weird because that episode I thought was really good because it has Joel in it.
Yeah.
And I think all the like I would be way more interested to follow Tommy because I think he's a better character. And what's the
Abby.
no, not really. What's the Asian guy's
Jesse.
name? Jesse. Like spoilers, but I was like, man, I really like this guy. I was like,
yeah, dude.
more of him, please. And then I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah.
So to
Didn't
me,
you read the signs? He said, "I can't die" like 16 times.
So to me, that just it. By the end of the season, I was left scratching my head like they could have done something better with this. And obviously, a lot of people have stopped watching. Like it's had like a big drop. And I think that partly is because they didn't do a good job casting the Ellie character. And maybe that's putting too much blame on her. I feel like they haven't written her well in comparison to the rest of the people.
Yeah. I think that's similar to how I feel. I think kind of you feel the same, Mick. I think there's just things they did with the character that you're like, I think you're missing that. She is so hell-bent on killing these people, right? They kind of were like, well, let's make her nice almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in the game, she's straight up just going through and just murdering everybody. Like she has to kill guards. Okay, this person's there. Let me slit your throat. Like she's literally on the war path of like, and so then you get that feeling of like, okay, she will stop at nothing to avenge Joel, right? And I feel like the character in the show is not that way at all. You know what I mean? She's kind of like, oh, like Dina has to remind her, you know, a couple episodes back, we're here to kill the people for Joel. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. She says we should go back,
right?
And then she's like, no, we should kill every single one of them. And I'm like,
and in the game, it's very much the opposite, where Dina keeps putting feelers out there of like, hey, maybe we should head back, just kind of like, is this still worth it? Like, what do you think about, still going on? And I feel like the main problem is they did not get Ellie right. And if you can't get the main character right, it just does a cascading effect on the rest of the show, the rest of the characters. And I mean, it's fine if you want to do something different than the games, but they've made what I see as like an inconsistent character, because Ellie's like kind of lukewarm about revenge, and then she's not really wanting revenge, and then she's a psycho that tortures someone, and then she feels
guilty about it.
Like, I don't know. I just people, a big chunk of the Last of Us fans hate the second game, but at least Ellie seems consistent in that game. Like she's believable in like her crusade and what she's doing. And the version that we get in the show, she just doesn't seem like she's making sense to me.
Yeah. I feel like what you're saying is like they make a choice in the game, even though it's going to bother people and annoy people, but they make a choice and they stick with it. Mm-hmm. It feels like the show is trying to make that choice, but not wanting to stick with it. Like, it's the same thing like Sony does with their villains, where it's like, these are villains, but we have to have them be anti-heroes. So they still have something. They're trying to do that with Ellie, but it makes her weak as a character.
Yeah. They're too scared to really commit to like, okay, revenge completely consumed her. She's blinded by being morally good in like these situations. Like that's the story that should be told. And then in the end, she does learn a lesson, but to get to that point, she needs to be like consumed by this. And we just get this kind of back and forth, lukewarm Ellie that just, it's not, I don't know. She's just not likable.
Is the scene where she sees the Scar person getting killed, is that in the game where she tries to?
No.
Because it was that kind of stuff that I was like, it didn't make sense. She's running to do all this stuff, and then she wants to save this random person that she doesn't even know, and then she uses that to be like, you're not a good person, when Jesse's like, dude, you're like putting everyone else in danger because you're selfish. And then she's like, well, you're not good either because you let that random person die, right? Those kind of things just didn't make sense to me. Like, you're going back and forth. The same thing when she kills that, shoots the guy, and then the girl's pregnant and she dies. It's kind of this whole thing like, well, you're wanting revenge. This scene has already happened. Like, you basically killed that one girl that was infected, like beat her to get the information out. And then the very next scene, you're like, I killed her. I didn't do anything. Like, you're all like having a sob story with Dina about it. And I'm just like, it's that idea that they're trying to make her likable, but it undermines the whole vengeance thing. Because then later you think like, oh, she's learned her lesson. She wants to get out, but then she like goes crazy to be like, oh, the whale, Abby's there instead of helping Tommy. Like, so it kind of undermines this, like, it's not consistent, and that affects the character.
Yeah, I really don't know why they made that decision, because they're trying to make you sympathize with her of like, oh, she's a good person, and I don't know how the like writer would, or the writers would justify that if they're like, oh, she's lying to herself and she's trying to act like but it just like falls, it, like you said, it confuses the message. And in case you haven't noticed, the message is that vengeance isn't the best route, right? You know what I mean? That's the whole message of the game. And so when you're trying to make your character go down that path of, even with the whole book, like the monster at the end of the book, right? Well, the monster at the end of the book is Ellie, right? That's the monster at the end of the book, because she's given herself over to vengeance and she doesn't care who she has to betray or murder in order to get vengeance. But you don't get that in the show. You get someone that's kind of just like, oh yeah, I really want to kill these people, but also I'm kind of on vacation with my baby mama.
Yeah. And her writing, it feels like the only way they know how to make her like edgy and dark is by having her say the F word every time. Like, it drives me nuts. Same thing that bothered me in Andor when it's like, hey, let's spice things up. Let's have Bail Organa say, tear
the poodoo out of this place.
Like that kind of stuff is just like, you're just, it just doesn't sound right. It just seems more like I'm a little bratty kid that can use F words, I don't know. It just doesn't work. And I feel bad for her because I think she's a good actress.
Yeah.
I just feel like they have put her in a bad spot. It's the same thing I hated. There's moments where I think you're supposed to like a character, but the way they've written her, it's made me not like her. The scene in, I think it's the flashback episode where Joel's like promises and then he kills Lenny. Well, not Lenny.
Lenny.
And then he kills him, right? Which I think that's a great scene. How they shot that, he's like,
it's all quiet.
Well, you guys, you can always see the ones you love, right? And then you don't see hear the gunshot, you just see the birds. Yeah. Like, great. When they get back and she's like, he says, what didn't happen, but then she's like, that's not what happened. And that scene made me not like her, the way it was done. And I don't know if that's in the game or not.
Nope, it's not.
But that scene, I had a reaction to it that was negative towards her. And I don't think that's what they want you to have. I think they want you to have a reaction that's like, she did the right thing. I hated it. And I was like, does that make sense?
No, yeah. She totally comes across as like the brat child that is like spilling these things that the parents like, don't say this in front of these people. Like, it's not polite. She comes across as like, I'm going to do what I want to do.
And it undermines the character to the point where you're like, what did you just do?
And that's not what Ellie's like in the game at all. She's not like that.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's a disservice to her. She's playing the character that they're giving her and that they're writing for her. And I just think they kind of screwed up the character.
Yeah. Yeah. I see a lot of criticism online that she's a terrible actress, but like you said, I totally disagree with that. I think she's really good. Like the scene with her, even though I have some issues with this scene, but the scene with her and Joel on the porch, like you can tell both of them are acting their hearts out, and it's amazing. But yeah, I think it's a combination of the direction, the writing, and probably some of it falls on her too, because she is acting it all out. But for whatever reason, this Ellie in season 2 just, I don't know, there's just some disconnect. There's not the Ellie in the game.
Yeah.
When with the flashbacks with her and Joel, I think that's when she starts shining a little bit better. Like, again, it could be a combination of the writing and directing and her acting, but for whatever reason, I think that's where she kind of thrived as Ellie. Because in the first season, I don't think she got this much complaint at all.
Oh,
like
no.
maybe there is the people of like, she doesn't look like Ellie, which she doesn't. But it's fine because she was acting like Ellie.
Yeah.
And this season, she doesn't. And she doesn't look like Ellie. So now people are like,
and she doesn't look
now people are like, building that on top of each other. And yeah, like I said, that's kind of the key part of the story that you need to get right.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that right,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Because she needs to carry the show now, and she doesn't. I think they should have gone with a younger actress for season 1.
like a lot younger.
So go a little younger, and then have cast an actress to play the second season, and you could still do the flashbacks with the younger actress and stuff, but you have an older actress doing season 2.
I think in hindsight that would have been the best decision.
Yeah.
Because you're able to then get, like, nowadays a lot of times they get people that you're like, oh yeah, I can see that. They're the same character. But I feel like you can get, because what is it? 5 years past, 6 years?
That's the other thing that's stupid is for whatever reason they changed in the show, instead of 4 years from game 1 to game 2 in the show, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is even more like you can't believe in it because she still looks 14.
And that's why I'm saying it would have been a lot better, because you can do that and you're like, okay, there's a time jump, and you can get away with like, oh, I totally makes sense. Like, this is a girl that's hell bent on vengeance and she's different, and you still have that idea of like, no, that's a little Ellie, right?
Yeah.
From the first season and from the flashbacks, and it would make you feel like, man, this world sucks.
I had heard rumors that they were looking to cast the chick from Alien Romulus.
Oh, the main character?
Yeah.
Because Isabella Merced's also in Alien Romulus.
And I was looking at interviews with her, and I'm
looks like older Ellie.
I'm like, that's freaking Ellie. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
And who knows if it's true, if she was actually like in the process of being hired for the job, but it's like, I'm sorry, that goes a long way to get someone that looks a lot like the character too. And clearly she can act. So it's like, I don't buy that. Like, she looks like her, but she can't act like her.
They're saying the girl that plays Abby was supposed to. I'm like, she seems like a better Ellie than.
Yeah.
And she could pull off the
anger.
Yeah. She was already doing it.
Yeah.
So, it's a weird. I feel bad for
Abby. Could have been Ellie. The Rock could have been Abby.
Yes.
So we should have cast.
The other one that I was weird about, I was like, why the whole scene in the finale where she goes to the island and she gets caught there, and then I was like, that just seemed like dumb.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you wasted 10 minutes to go this random place to and be like, back to the village, and she's like, let me get back on this boat.
That was a completely pointless scene that apparently they had the idea for the game for that to happen, and they were like, maybe we should cut it out. For whatever reason, that didn't carry over into the show.
Yeah, they were like, let's throw it in there for sure.
Yeah. It's like, maybe it was cut out for a reason. But if you cut that scene out, nothing changes at all. And maybe they'll do something later to call back to that, but I highly doubt it.
Not anything that would be of value.
No. That's not gonna
like,
change
maybe she sees the kid again, and now he's got like
and then
one arm.
She shoots the kid.
She's like, remember, you were going to cut payback. She's like, you were going to cut my intestines out, and I said, tell him, and you said no. Well, guess what?
But they said like, oh, the reason for this scene is like she's so lost that this is the universe giving her one last chance to turn back, and she's still going. It's we know that. Like, that's what's been happening all the time in Seattle so far.
Yeah.
She's seeing these horrible things that are giving her signs to turn back. Like, we didn't need this stupid scene, like you said, that like completely takes you away from what's happening. When that came up, I was like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
Because I thought there's some stuff with Abby that is like almost shot for shot very similar. And I was like, are they like completely changing things here? But no, I was like, okay, well, that was just pointless.
Yeah. And it was that. And they wanted to drive home the point that it's like, oh, you were trying to save the scars and now they're trying to kill. You know what I mean? It's like, they're not good either. It's like, we already know that.
Get it.
We
this
already
world
get
sucks.
it. Yeah. Crystal had already seen like people complain like, oh, apparently they did this. And I was like, there's no way. That's stupid. And then like the scene happened. I was like, wow, that was really stupid. Why did they freaking do that?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, it's so pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a cool scene. I thought it was cool, but it was like, it was just one of those things that it's like, this doesn't move the character forward in any way.
They could have done that.
They should have done
that when they were in the park.
That's exactly what they should have done. They could, if they wanted to make that point, they could have made that in any other way.
When
earlier.
she's there, they catch her, and when she's gonna get skewered, the people start shooting and they run off.
Yeah, it completely like cut the momentum of like, we're on. I'm gonna go, and then I was like, Wilson.
Yeah, it was weird.
Wilson, I'm sorry.
Well, and for season 2, when the timeline lines up and you hear that horn, you're gonna think they're gonna want you to think, oh, they just saved it. Like Abby probably does something where it's like, she saved Ellie inadvertently.
Yeah.
And
it's not worth it.
It's stupid.
I am a bit disappointed because they said at the beginning of the season, we heard your complaints. There'll be more infected. And I was like, there weren't more infected than the first season.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. No, not really.
There was like 1,000 of them in the Jackson episode.
No, but I'm saying like throughout.
There was literally more.
There was literally more.
What I'm saying is throughout the season, more moments of that. Like you got that in the first episode. You get an occasional, like the smart ones, but it's few and far between. Like the moments where she goes
Professor
down.
infected.
Where the moment when she goes down, they're like, and they're like, blowing out the spores. I thought that was cool.
I know what you're talking about.
They were vaping.
But I'm like,
there.
they're just seeing that it was few and far between.
French cafe.
And I just feel like it's a zombie show, guys. I just feel like they did the same thing in the first season where you had like, oh, these are all the guys. And it's like you had 3 or 4 episodes where guys are eating strawberries and, other stuff. And, I'm a dad. I'm going to be a dad. And then it's like, give me some infected, I need more of that.
I think a problem with translating from game to show is a lot of the infected that are in the game are during gameplay.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think they probably could have put some of that in the Seattle days where they're searching around and stuff. Because I think day 1, you're going from building to building and finding infected, and they could have had scenes like that. But I would say it's definitely better than season 1 in terms of infected.
Yeah, just not enough for me.
Yeah. I think I was fine with because that's the complaint I had about season 1. I was like, I need more infected, but I thought it was good. I do think maybe they should have had more. I don't know if it's more infected, but have her kill off more wolves. You know
more
what I mean?
Wolves,
Like
more scars,
like sneaking through places. Like you have to kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like they wanted to shy away from that, I guess, in that case. And no shamblers so far.
No shamblers. They got the spores treatment from season 1. So
the season ends on a cliffhanger where Abby comes in, kills my boy Jesse, the MVP of the show. She's got Tommy there, and then she basically shoots Ellie, or we think she shoots Ellie, goes black, and then it follows Abby at the Clink Seahawks Stadium.
That's right, dude.
Day 1. So it seems like we're going to get in season 3 those 3 days with Abby building up to the 4th season, which would be then the resolution of what happens. Are
they doing 4 seasons?
That's what
they
they
said. What? So here's
That's
my
kind
So
of
the
nuts.
end of season 3, she's going to shoot and it's going
And
to
it's
turn
gonna
black
go black
again.
again, and then we're gonna.
Season 4.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch season 3. Like that's how much I think I've lost interest in it after Joel died, and because there's not any characters that I really feel strongly about. Tommy maybe, but I'm like, does he survive? I don't know.
Stay tuned to find out.
To me, I don't know. I just feel like they fumbled it because after the first season, I was like, okay, this is really good. I'm in. This one's like not in, and I've gotten to the point now where it's like, is it worth my time watching the resolution of this story that feels like it's going to be dark and depressing anyways? So yeah, I don't think that's what they want. That's what they were going for with like general audience. Because I'm the perfect demographic for this show. Like what people they want to watch the show is they want to get, yes, the fans of the game, but also just people are like, oh, this is like The Walking Dead, like zombie stuff. And when it ended, I was like, that's it. That's where we're ending. And it got me more frustrated than it did get me excited to see a third season.
I think as someone that's played the game, because it lines up pretty much exactly in the game where you play as Ellie for the first 3 days. You get to that point where she's like, we let you live, and you wasted it, cuts to black, and then you start over as Abby.
Yeah.
And you play as Abby for those 3 days. When that happened in the game, the first time I played it, it was like, man, this sucks.
Abby.
Why am I playing as, Joel's killer? This, I hate this. This is dumb. It doesn't make any sense. I think I have more of the opposite kind of reaction in the show of like, I really don't like Ellie. She's not very likable.
Maybe Abby will be.
I think I'm more excited to see Abby's stuff in Seattle. And another weird change, and it doesn't make sense for them to have made these changes and still doing this format of now we're going back and going through Abby's story. Because the whole point of that in the game was you don't know who Abby is, why she killed Joel. And when you go back and play as Abby, then you slowly realize over those 3 days exactly who she is, why she's doing, why she did what she did. And the game is trying to make you empathize with her. And, that's up to the player if that worked or not. But with the show, it's like we already know who she is, why she did what she did. I don't know if, the format of doing this is going to benefit like just the show in general. Like in my mind, it would have made more sense. Okay, if you're going to do that for Abby, everyone knows why she killed Joel and, her motivation and all that stuff, then intersperse that with Ellie scenes in Seattle for like the general audience who, like you're saying, it's like, well, I don't really want to continue with season 3. This doesn't seem interesting anymore. It just, to me, like, and that's the problem with this season is there's so many of those changes and tweaks that I'm like, this did not need to be changed for a show format. These things I think work well in game and show or movie. It just seems like a weird change that now I'm like, I don't know, like what's the thought behind these changes? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on a whole season just with Abby. Like I
don't know if they'll do a whole season, but they said it would focus on Abby.
Yeah, I thought it would be like the rest of the game, basically.
Yeah,
and finish it off with season 3. There's some pretty sweet stuff with Abby, though.
I think she has the most
fun action.
I mean, if you're looking for infected,
you're gonna get a lot of infected.
You're gonna get a lot of hopefully.
But here's the thing, though.
A lot of cool set pieces.
I don't like that character either, though. So that's the thing that's frustrating for me. I really like Joel. I like Tommy. I like Jesse. Right. So I'm like, you killed 2 of them.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
No, But
I'm seeing a pattern here.
And I like Dina.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying
you're
is
safe.
the main characters I'm supposed to like Ellie, I don't think she fits. And I don't like Abby because I'm like, she just seems like she just wanted revenge and like the whole thing. And so to me, when I look forward to a show, I'm like, now I'm going to watch the same thing you said, like person that killed Joel. And I got to go through. It's just weird, and it doesn't make me excited to watch. Do you guys think it would have worked, before we move on to the next thing, if they would have done kind of like what I said? Like, so first season happens. Second season is more of like their relationship building leading up to Joel dying. So you get the death of Joel maybe in the penultimate episode, right? So episode 6. So you can get more infected stuff like that with little storylines. You can build a relationship between Dina, Jesse, and Ellie and Joel throughout all that kind of stuff. You could still do the stuff with I can't remember his name, Lenny or whatever. Like that could still happen. You get the Abby thing that they kill him.
I think it's you,
and then the end of the season is her getting to Seattle and like, the third season is going to be her getting revenge. Third season then can be the mix of Ellie and Abby's story going back and forth. Doesn't that seem like that would have... Because then you get a whole season of Pedro Pascal. You get to build their relationship that maybe that helps you like Ellie a little more. And then when that moment happens, you're like, oh, she's the person that I've grown to care about that had this relationship with him. Now she's just hell-bent on vengeance. That to me, I don't know. Does that work for you guys? Or does that seem like it's too slow and boring for a season 2?
I mean, I think it's a pretty big departure from what happens in the game. But like you said, for normal audiences, you don't have that built-in time with Joel, right? You had whatever 8 episodes or 6 episodes, whatever season 1 was. I think that's kind of what I was curious to see what they were going to do with the season. Is like, are you going to push it off to the end of the season to give people more time with Joel? And they just stuck with what happens in the game, right? I think that your idea makes sense. I think you could even intersperse. Why not even have scenes of Abby and their group traveling to Jackson, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know why they're traveling. They're just like, oh, we're trying to get, and that even kind of sets it up with what happens in the game more of like, you don't know who these characters are and you don't know why they're there. Whereas in the show, they just already told you like, we're here to kill Joel. They give you right off the bat, you got the scene of the fireflies and Abby saying like, we need to kill Joel. Right. So if you have a whole season following Ellie, like you said, and Joel and stuff in Jackson, and then you have intersperse that with people that are like, we're trying to get to Jackson, Abby and her crew, and then when they show up, they kill Joel. Like would be a shock. That would be a crazy shock, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like really they were here the whole time, and you can put in little clues here and there of who they are.
It might make you even like Abby a little more.
Oh yeah,
like if you start growing a connection with Abby, like for me that I don't know who she is, but she saves somebody from being infected or something like that, and she does something good. You're like, oh, this is a cool person that's going to join the ranks of Jackson, right? And then when that moment happens, you're like, yeah, I agree. I think that might work better.
And I think that was even an early version of the game, is they were making you play as Abby and going into Jackson. And I think that made it pretty far in the process. But then for whatever reason, they realized it just like pacing wise for a video game, it just wasn't working. But I think in terms of a show format, that probably would have been better. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys give the season if you were to give it a rank score?
I think even with all its flaws, I still really enjoyed it. And I think it's a really well done show. Ellie aside, I think all the other characters are good. All the stuff with Isaac is good. Like even the additions they've done outside of Ellie and the island, you know what I mean? Like I enjoy the extra scenes with Isaac and the background they give. I think everything looks great. I think the acting is good. I give it an 8.
I think I have so much stock in Ellie's character that the fact that I think it's just not working this season, it drops the score a lot for me. I'd probably give it a 6.
Whoa, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably in between you guys. It's nothing
like a 7?
Yeah, 7. I think the acting is good. I like kind of the world building of it. I loved every time I saw a Seahawks thing, I'd go Hawks, the representation of being a Seahawks fan. But I just feel like I'm left with not being super jazzed or excited to watch more. And part of that is Ellie, part of that is the writing, and just things that just didn't make sense to me. So yeah, I'd probably put it a 7. I think it's a beautiful show. Like it filmed really well. I think all the acting is good. Like there's not like somebody that you're like, they're a terrible actors. Like she just doesn't fit, and the writing's been a disservice for her. But again, it's not something that I'm like over the moon. Like I can't wait to see more, especially after Pedro Pascal dies. It's kind of like, so yeah. Anyways, that's our discussion on The Last of Us. Let us know what you thought. Real quick, we're going to wrap up the show with Tales of the Underworld. 6 episodes. Mix, did you get a chance to watch it?
Not.
So we'll just kind of, do you care if we spoil it?
Go for it.
Okay. It'll just be real quick. We've gotten Tales of the Jedi. We've gotten Tales of the Empire. And this is the third one we've gotten, which is Tales of the Underworld. First 3 episodes, Asajj Ventress. The next 3 episodes were Cad Bane. Josh, what'd you think?
These are probably some of my favorite Star Wars stories. Like I just like this series. Like Tales of the Jedi was awesome to get that perspective from Dooku. It's the same thing with this. It's cool to get Asajj Ventress. I mean, it looks like they're pilot. It's like a pilot for the Asajj Ventress show that they're eventually going to do, right? You know what I mean? That's kind of the feeling I got.
I think maybe not a show, although she's probably going to show up in the Maul show. I would think that probably overlaps a little bit. But I think Filoni's setting her up for Ahsoka season 2 to get her in live action. And he had to kind of show how she survived. Spoilers for Dark Disciple, which was a book that came out that was based on some Clone Wars episodes that never happened. But in that, we get the death of Asajj Ventress and the love triangle between Dooku, Quinlan Vos. No, the love story between her and Quinlan Vos. In that book, Quinlan leaves her on Dathomir in one of the Night Sister water things. We get that scene of her resurrection and how that happened, which is awesome. Cool, really cool. You get to see Obi-Wan, you get to see Quinlan Vos. But yeah, and then you get to see her basically forgo her love. She can't be with Quinlan, but she was brought back to life. I think that's just set up for Ahsoka season 2, and potentially the movie that Dave Filoni.
That'd be sweet. I'd be fine with that.
People were complaining about the show, being like, "This is dumb. It doesn't do anything." I was like, "No, it does. It establishes the character still around. It establishes a new character, that the Jedi that's running, and it establishes the kind of underground railroad of the Jedi that Quinlan Vos started. It's called the Way. Is it? What's the path? The path. So I just thought that was really cool.
This is the path.
So I like the 3-episode arc. I think the next 3 though were the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting a backstory on Cad Bane with the Crunchies, and just 2 friends that kind of have this tragic event happen where one gets taken by a mob boss kind of guy, and then one gets arrested and becomes a sheriff. I just thought that was really cool, and heartfelt. Like it was good. What do you think of that arc?
I think same thing. I like the Asajj Ventress one, but this one was my favorite just because I think Cad Bane's cool in general. But yeah, just like really cool Western vibes, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, just the setup, and then I like the time jump between each one.
Yeah,
you know, you move a couple years forward, and you get to see, okay, well now he's not leading the crew, but he's kind of like higher up, and then
his girlfriend.
He's got his girlfriend, and then the confrontation on the planet, and I liked how you started seeing like how the planet was getting nicer.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then, I mean, just the ending of it being like you kind of see that kid running around and you're like, huh, that's interesting. And then you're like,
yeah. And he's like, that one's blue.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's strange. And then just the thing of that, it's like, you took everything from me. And he's like, not everything. You're like,
and he just looks at the kid and he makes the connection.
He knows that's his kid, dude.
And the kid cries, looks up at him. That was beautiful.
Stuff,
and the music in both.
Oh, awesome.
Both was just amazing. The Asajj Ventress had some really cool like guitar, kind of like stringed stuff. And then the Cad Bane arc had some really awesome Star Wars music just mixed with like Western stuff. I thought it was great. I hope they keep doing this and giving us different pockets because I think it's a really cool way for big fans to get something. But if you're not a big fan, like you can take it or leave it, but it's still like really cool to get some of that backstory.
I honestly, call me crazy, I honestly wouldn't care if they never made another Star Wars movie and they just kept giving me little animation stories like of all the, I'd be like, okay, cool, dude. I don't care. Like I just like living in that.
What's the next one we're getting?
I already told you. I said it weeks ago. Okay. Tales of the Diner.
No, I want a real one.
I mean, I think obviously you have to go back to Tales of the Old Republic.
Okay.
And so, cool. or Tales of the Sith. Yeah, Tales of the Sith would be a good one, so we can get some Darth Bane, Darth Revan stuff. Tales of the Jizwaylin. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Then we get a figure in Dan in the modal nodes, baby.
Yeah,
we get that beef between him and Max Rebo's band.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh, they do the Battle of the Bands show.
That would be sick. There you go.
Sign me up, dude.
Yeah, those would be all those would be great. So Dave Filoni, if you're looking for ideas, dude, more tales,
I'm full of them, dude.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Nerd Age Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week with more. You can find us on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. See you later.
See you.
Bye.